After placing the flask under the burette, which should be on the ring stand and filled with the solution of unknown concentration, find the initial volume of the burette to 1 degree of uncertainty. The burette measures to 1/10 of a milliliter, so the degree of uncertainty is the second decimal. From there, turn the stopcock on the burette vertical, releasing a stream of liquid into the flask. It is acceptable to go full blast at the start, but it will reach a point where each drop leads to a pink color. At this point, slow the flow of the burette to a drop-by-drop basis and swirl the beaker after each drop. Once the pink color does not leave after significant swirling, stop the titration by turning the stopcock horizontal. It may be necessary to compare with water to visualize a color change. Measure the final volume again to 2 decimal places. Record it and subtract the initial volume from the final volume to determine the volume delivered. The following is another example of how to properly perform a titration. Titrations are performed in order to find the concentration or molarity of an unknown solution. In order to do this, one must know the molarity, the moles per liter, of one of the solutions. In this case, the known solution was in the flask. It is also necessary to find the initial and final volumes in the burette, as to determine the volume delivered. In this case, however, instead of knowing the molarity of the known solution, a known mass of KHP was dissolved in deionized water in the flask. Given that and the molar mass of KHP, the calculation would have been the mass of KHP divided by its molar mass, transferred into moles of NaOH, which was the unknown solution, which has a 1-to-1 ratio, and then divided by the total volume delivered from the burette. When trying to determine the volume in a burette, locate the meniscus and start at the whole number above it. From there, go down 1 degree at a time until the bottom of the meniscus is between 2 markings. Make a rough estimate of the unknown decimal place and record. Unlike the previous 2 examples, this example will demonstrate titration in its entirety. Prior to completing the initial titration, the burette was primed via it being washed out 3 times with water and then 3 times with the solution of unknown molarity, sodium hydroxide. Doing this ensures that the acidic and basic ions from other sources are flushed out and do not interfere with the titration. It is acceptable if towards the end 1 or 2 drops cause the solution in the flask to turn to a darker pink color. After a good amount of shaking around, the solution should change to a more acceptable color.